Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Just waiting for Charlie. Are you going to come on, Charlie? And then I have to agree your request or whatever we do. Approve you. Are you there, Charlie? You're late. You're late, Charlie. You're late. You told me off for being late last week. You did. Well, as you can see, I'm in my lockdown gear because I'm in isolation. So for those of you concerned about my well-being, I am very well, thank you very much. And I am pretty sure I haven't got COVID. Wants to be in your video? Right, let's see. What do I do with this? Approve. Is it working, Charlie? Is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
Woo!
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, how are you?
Can you put your thingy to the right angle?
What?
Hang on. Is that all right?
Is that all right?
Well, the top of your head's missing.
Yeah, but I don't have a tripod like you. I'm not an influencer yet.
How are you?
I'm all right. I am quite warm this evening. I keep getting really hot flushes at the moment, so that's why my face is so red.
It's not red. Look at mine. It's my hormones as well.
Yeah.
So that's.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's not Charlotte Tilbury?
No, I haven't got it on. I've just got Aunt Sally cheeks all the time.
Okay.
It's my hormones. So hormones are responsible for a lot of things. And in pregnancy, you've got a lot more blood circulating round, and you do have your own. Yes, can you please tell everybody what you're drinking?
Oh, hang on. I can't see the Oh, here we go. Yeah. Beck's Blue.
Not Ben.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Alcohol.
Hi, Katie.
Well,
hi, Geraldine.
No, didn't we, about what was the best? I know you've obviously done that live already, but obviously before you did the live, I was already sneakily testing all the alcohol-free stuff. But yeah, this is definitely one of the best. The Brewdog ones are really nice, but because they're like ales, they're quite strong, as in like tasting. So it's not as refreshing, but good old Beck's Blue.
Well, it's only Tuesday night.
I know, yeah, but it's been a hard week. I know. I did think about getting a cup of tea. It is on the side, but I was rushing, so I thought Beck's Blue is quicker. So,
right. Anyway, well, I'm having tea tonight.
Okay.
Got nettle tea. Nettle tea. I'm going to tell you about the health benefits of nettles.
Okay.
Anyway, but first of all, now I don't know why. Let me get that off. Right, I don't know whether you can you see me here?
Yeah, I can see your hair and I can see your fairy lights behind you or flashing away.
Right. What would you say about my hair?
Needs a little bit of that Olaplex that we got you for Christmas.
Yeah, but I keep doing that. Is that all you've got to say though?
I mean, it looks lovely. You've made a great.
Oh, Charlie, thank you so much.
It does.
And the reason I'm telling you this is because, hi, Zena. Zena's watching. Give Zena away.
Hi, Zena.
Right. So the reason I'm telling you this is, you know what it's like when I need my roots doing right, and grey hair isn't easy to contend with. No, I've not coloured it, Marie. What I've done is I've brushed my hair across there so you can't see me stripe of white there, Marie. Right. So I tell you what I've done. I've just washed it today because I washed all the brown stuff what you paint your roots with so that I can colour it another day, right? And so when I wash it, I couldn't be bothered to do anything with it. I'm sorry, Marie. Right, so I'll put my little rollers in, and these rollers, they're only little, so they make little tight curls. And I just think, well, that looks better, and it looks like I've got more hair because my hair's falling out all the time, right? And but obviously I can't. I wish I had some bigger ones so I could have bigger curls. So, you know your sister, Chloe?
I do know her very well.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I've made her a tea tonight. And have a guess what she's done. She's laughed at me hair and she said, she said, Mum, it looks like you've got a hairpiece on because this is a different colour to this.
Yeah,
well,
see, not a hairpiece, but do you know them scrunchies that I used to have that had like hair spinning around?
Well, that's not the worst of it, Charlie. That's not the worst of it. She said it looks like she said I look like I've got clip-on pubes on.
Right, okay. Well, moving on from that, shall we?
But we are moving on, Charlie. But I was going to tell you something else. So that they've took the rip out of me all tea time when I've made them a nice tea to tell them what I look like. I've got clipped to my head. So I'm sorry, everybody, if I've offended you with my hairpiece that looks not so amazing. So next time I'll do my hair like you've got yours, Charlie. But Charlie, that's funny. Like Barbie hair. Oh, I don't know. I can't.
All right. But let's leave it professional, shall we?
Yeah, well, Marie, you're going to be busy. I tell you that now. You're going to be busy, and I won't. I'll just tie it up. Anyway, right. That's that's not pregnant. That's just my issue. Right. I don't know what Barbie hair's like. That's not like Barbie hair, is it? Right. Go on, Charlie. Are you asking me questions or am I asking you questions?
I can go first if you like. So I've saved up some questions for you this week. Yeah. So
Did it embarrass you talking about pubes?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Did it embarrass you?
No, not really. I mean, that's like the best of the conversations that we have, right? It's like the
yeah. And then Dad got stuck in as well, and he said to Chloe, "Oh, where would you buy them from?" And Dad said, "Ann Summers."
Oh, look.
Winter collection.
Oh, great, lovely. So the things that I'd ask this were, what 2 things would you suggest to stop doing at 17 weeks? So for anybody that doesn't know, I'll be 17 weeks tomorrow. So what 2 things to stop doing at 17 weeks?
Right. Well, it's not particularly 17 weeks-ish, but it's never too late to start. And one of the things I would stop doing is stop eating rubbish food. Stop eating rubbish food. Stop eating junk food. And it's just a really, really difficult time when you're pregnant, isn't it? Because you crave things and you want things, and you're not going to lose weight, and you're just going to get bigger. So a lot of people just, especially when you can't drink alcohol, you treat yourself with lots of other things that have absolutely no nutritional value. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a talk I saw a lady do, and I can't for the life of me. I wrote it down somewhere. I did write it down. She's called Leanne Lisbon, and she has a thingy. Have you heard of her?
No.
Have you heard of Mind Over Muffin?
No.
Absolutely brilliant. So anyway, so the reason I've mentioned her is because I watched a talk she did on emotional eating, and I found that it was so helpful and so relevant to actually being pregnant, because she basically says diets don't work. You know, it's one thing that I found really helped me, because I was looking at it to the point of, like, when we're all in lockdown, and when we're not pregnant, we're drinking too much alcohol. And what I found really helpful, one of the things she said is, she says that it's a physical approach, you know, watching what calories are going in and what energy is expended and what energy is taken in. And everybody knows this, but what she said was, you know, it's about asking yourself the reason why you're eating that, or the reason why you're drinking that. And I just thought it was really helpful, and it made me feel good about getting a cup of tea tonight. And it's just like, you know, when you're eating rubbish. Just, well, I have this week because I've been bored. But I think no woman should be going on a diet in pregnancy, but I think it's really, really important just to try and eat some of the things that are going to do you some good. And I know what you were saying to me. Did you send me a message saying you're craving a lot of sugary sweet stuff?
No, I was saying that I was craving a lot of juicy stuff, so a lot of like fruit and stuff.
Well, maybe you need to drink more water. Maybe that's your way of trying to rehydrate yourself. Are you drinking enough water?
Yeah, loads. Like to the point where I think I probably have like 3 or 4 of these like water bottles a day, and then I get fed up of the taste of water, so then I have to add cordial. But yeah, so stop eating basically all the good stuff. I think like one of the things that I would say though is like I almost feel like that's a little bit tinged with, you know, if in your normal life just having a healthy balanced diet, everything in moderation, you would have chocolate and you would have takeaways like occasionally. So I feel like sometimes when people are told that, it's like, oh my God, I'm not allowed to eat anything bad in pregnancy because everything affects my baby. And it's like, well, no, just have a healthy balanced diet. So I don't think it's that bad. Like, don't demonize food.
No, I think that's why I found this girl, this Leanne Lisbon, so helpful, because what she talks about, if anybody's interested in looking at it, I might try and find her and put a link on, because she talks about her own journey, and she says, you know, she was never had a problem with weight or eating or anything like that, and then it was because of a breakup with a boyfriend when she was very young, and she was basically starving herself, and then she was gorging herself, overeating, because she'd done without, and you know, she'd done without for so many weeks, and deprived herself, and was starving, hungry, and was miserable, and you know, and then you know, she said it was a birthday and there was a massive buffet, and she just basically filled her face because she was looking for that emotional reward, and you know, she felt so deprived. And she said then that sort of linked into a sort of an emotional sort of loop going on, because then you know, you want to eat something to make you feel better and good, and that's what I've been doing. I've eaten a full packet of you know, them strawberries I like, and then I felt really bad about that. And the thing is, the reason I can probably relate to you a lot better now is because at my age I'm putting weight on, and I've never, and now it's starting to become a thing for me. And what this girl said, she said, and I realized, she said I went out with a girl for a meal or whatever, and she said this girl was really, really slim and whatever, and she said she's there worrying about her weight, and she ordered the salad and glass of water and did without the sweet, and she said her friend ordered like a big burger and a big side of chips and a big whatever, you know, sticky toffee pudding and whatever, and a glass of Coke or whatever, all the things she said that you're supposed to not be allowed to have because they're all bad for you. And she said, so this girl just sat there and ate whatever, and she said she left some of her burger and some of her chips, and then she left a bit of a pudding. And she said, and I said to her, how come you've left that? How come you've left that? And the girl just said, well, because I'm full. And I can so relate to that, because I remember Debbie telling me, she said, you'd never finish your food. And that's because at that time, I had no emotional attachment to any food. You just eat because you like it, and you have what you want and when you want. So you're not in that thing of thinking, oh, I shouldn't have this, I should have that, I shouldn't have that. And I think that is so true, because now, you know, I do it with wine. I go, I'm not allowed it, I'm not allowed it. It's only a Tuesday and I'm not allowed it. And then that's almost like what makes it become a thing. So what was really, really helpful, this girl saying, you know, if, for example, you're eating loads and loads of stuff that's really bad for you, you know, and just raiding the fridge and filling your face, asking yourself, she's basically explaining that that's to fill an emotional void. And so asking yourself, why are you doing that? What's missing? Is it because lockdown's stressful? Is it because, you know, you've got no help with the kids? Is it because, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting. So she says, you know, and actually I'm going to look into it more. It's called Mind Over Muffin. And she's saying that, you know, doing diets is absolutely pointless because you'll deprive yourself, you'll be miserable, you'll come off the diet and you'll just put the weight back on or just carry on, and you just end up feeling just as bad about everything. So she said, you know, if you look at your relationship with food, and, you know, and she says people don't have a problem with food. She said people don't have a problem with food. That's not the issue. It's something else. I just wanted to tell you about that because I thought it was so helpful. So what, you know, this week I've lost a little bit of weight and then I've put it all back on. So what I'm going to try and do, and what I was trying to explain to you to do, is don't tell yourself you can't have anything. Don't tell yourself you're not allowed this or you're not allowed that. You're not allowed that. But I think what is helpful is if you know what, I stopped eating McDonald's and stuff just when I found out it's got, you know, the nutritional value of it's really poor. And I thought, well, it's just, I think I would rather have something else, probably something cheesy or something that actually got something in it, you know. But I just think when you in pregnancy, when you're trying to eat healthily, there's absolutely no point depriving yourself, because you just make yourself feel miserable. But just trying to like tweak things and you know, I've done it before, and I've got a list of some of the things that you can try and, you know, swap out. And one of those things that I found was, you've probably already done this, is like and I'm going to try it again, like dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate, because it's just a little bit better for you. Do you eat dark chocolate?
I do, but I kind of think like, I almost think there's no point, because if you want to eat chocolate, you want it for the taste, don't you? You want it for.
I know, but I've had,
not because you think I want to eat chocolate because of the nutritional value, so therefore I'll go for something that's slightly more nutritional. Like, you just want it for the taste. That's that.
I know, but sometimes you want it for the sweetness, don't you? And I don't mind that.
Sweet though, dark chocolate's bitter.
I know, but you can get that Bourneville's not very like high in. It's not as high as some of the ones. Some of the ones that Dad gets are disgusting. Anyway, right. So shall I, just while we're talking about cravings, and if you do crave sweet things, what I was thinking back to is when I was pregnant, and I think it was with Chloe, I remember getting like I remember when I was doing that driving job, right? And I remember all of a sudden getting the shakes and feeling starving hungry, going, I need to, do you get like that anytime? You've got to need to.
No, not really at the moment, just because I'm at home all the time. So
well, I was out and I got that, and I had to stop at a petrol station and get some. I don't know whether they were still called marathons then or what they call now, Snickers. I got a Snickers bar and I couldn't get it in my face quick enough, right? And now I know a little bit more. I kind of, because I know I'm not diabetic, I kind of know as well because of how Dad is. And the thing that I think I was probably doing then is, rather than having low blood sugars, I think what happened to me was I was probably having really quite a sugary breakfast. And what I was feeling was the rapid drop in blood sugars. So my blood sugars were probably still normal, but my body really did not like, and it was especially like that in pregnancy for me. So do you remember when I used to have Weetabix and I used to put about that much sugar on it, because I used to like the crunchiness of the sugar, especially in pregnancy. And I think that's why I used to like those you know, sour strips. I used to like the the sensation of the crunchy sugar. So what I used to do is I used to put so much sugar on Weetabix because I liked crunching it. How much sugar do you need to have on Weetabix so you can crunch it? And I think that that's what, so once my body had just burnt those calories off, and then my blood sugars, you know, dropped from that initial massive sugar high. So you might notice that. And so I don't think I was ever had low blood sugars. But then what you do is, what I did was I stopped and I had a chocolate bar to get that blood sugar high. But what I know now is, and you probably know a lot better than I do, because you know a lot more about food than I did. I just used to take no notice of it, really. But there are some things that you can eat in the, especially in the morning, that are, you know, are longer lasting, you know. So I think in pregnancy there are things that you can just tweak a little bit. So you might have your chocolate in the evening, you might have a little bit of chocolate, and there is absolutely no point beating yourself up about having a bit of chocolate. If you want some chocolate, have some chocolate. But what you might do is say, well, in the morning I'm gonna have this or that. And I just had a look, actually, because I knew you were gonna you'd mentioned about sometimes a snack just before bed can help the morning slump too. It's just the sort of things like slow release oats and stuff like that, isn't it? But I've found this really good article. It's from Health, and it says 19 things to help you stop sugar craving. The first one is fruit. However, swapping out the junk food for some fruit will, when you feel like something sugary, could give you the sweet hit that you need and stop your cravings in its tracks. Right, so I don't know whether I've mentioned this to you before, how important it is. You know, when you're saying you're drinking a lot of fruit juice?
Just this week.
Right, so the thing that I know about fruit juice is really high in sugar, which is, you know, it's natural sugar, a lot of it, but it's still sugar. But what is so much better for you that I didn't know, because you know when you go to the shops and you buy your bottle of fresh orange, right, and then you have a massive glass of fresh orange and you just downed it, haven't you? Well, the amount of sugar in that glass of orange juice is so much more than you would normally take in if you were just eating an orange. Because if you were eating an orange,
yeah,
the benefit of eating that orange is you're not eating as much, because you're not going to have 3 or 6 oranges all at once. And also what you're getting in that orange is you're getting the fibre as well. Oranges and juice when pregnant, I was told it could be I was low in iron. Maybe things like that we can check out. We do your bloods at 28 weeks, and you know, there's something you can keep an eye on. So I'll just whiz through these.
So
berries.
One thing that I can stop doing. What would be another thing that I could stop doing?
So right, let me just list these things that sugar cravings, because did you see the thing I put on for like snack bar things?
Yeah,
that was really interesting, and I could try making those. So berries at night, you know what's really nice? Blueberries at night, dark chocolate, snack bars. And I put another recipe on there, I don't know whether you saw it. It was like chocolate pudding with chia seeds in it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of chia seeds. That's not for me. No, hate them. I don't like them.
High in soluble fibre, which could help you feel fuller for longer. And yogurt, but make sure it's not laced with loads of sugar. Free of sugar, but it's high in protein and rich in calcium. Sweet potatoes, and I put a recipe on that I'm going to try, because I'm not a lover of sweet potatoes. Quickly, because I know you're getting bored. I can see you getting bored with me. Prunes.
Noticing that I've got like 5 questions written down.
Right, prunes. Listen to me. I've got to tell you these things, what you can have in the morning. So to help prevent, prunes will help stop you getting constipated, because a lot of women suffer with constipation in pregnancy. Eggs are another high protein food that may help you keep your cravings in check. Oh, it says something about eggs, because the high protein breakfast suppresses the hunger hormone summer and increases the hormone that make you feel full, including peptide something or other. Yeah, so eggs can be a good choice for breakfast.
Yeah, if you eat something high in protein, it's increasing your satiety, so that's what makes you feel.
See, your full hormone.
Yeah.
Whole grains.
Yeah.
And just, I know you eat a lot of vegetables anyway. And it says at the end of this article, having the odd sweet treat is fine for most people, so you shouldn't feel guilty if you occasionally indulge, which I think is right.
Yeah, I do too.
Right. Do you want to? I've got 3 things that you should stop doing.
Okay.
Second one, watching too much news.
Oh yeah, no, I've stopped. I think I stopped watching the news. Lockdown. So.
Let me see my thingy. Is it? Oh no, that's all right. I swear by eating breakfast as soon as you wake up, Weetabix or porridge. That's good choice. So it does put you in that frame of mind that everything is bad in the world, and COVID is really, really a horrible thing for us all to go through because we've had our lives changed. But everything isn't bad in the world. Everything isn't bad in the world. And, you know, it's also not exposing yourself to too much bad news, not exposing yourself to too many negative people, and focus on the things you want and not the things you don't want. Because just from personal experience, I'm in a good vibe at the moment. I'm really lucky. I'm making loads of things. I'm enjoying doing stuff. I'm enjoying my job. But I came across, and so I think you attract what the energy you give off. You know, so I've noticed so many people doing really, really good things. People really, you know, really pushing the boat out and doing things for other people, just nice random acts of kindness. And if you start looking at things like that on your news feed, on your social media, that's what sort of thing comes back. So you think, oh, the world's not such an awful place, you know, things are changing, slowly getting back to normal, hopefully. And, you know, I came across somebody, you know, we all come across people now and again that feel like everybody's bad in the world, you know, and everything's awful, everything's bad, everything's going wrong, everything's, you know, what's wrong is always available, but so is what's right, as Tony Robbins tells us. And so news, watch about the news. I think I'm watching a bit too much news, but Dad has it on in the morning, but that's all I'm doing. I want to find out what the rules are, and that's it. And third thing to stop doing at 11 weeks,
17
tomorrow, stop the negative self-talk. I go on and on and on about this, so don't look in the mirror and say, oh, I look really fat. Just don't do it. Just catch yourself doing it and just don't let the words come out, because it's just not helpful. It's not helpful. I've started trying to do it myself, and it's not good for your headspace, you know, because especially you, Charlie, I don't want you to do any negative self-talk, because you came out of my belly and I made you, and I think I did a good job.
Yeah.
So when you're slagging yourself off, you're slagging me off.
Yeah, but everyone does it though, don't they? It's just...
No, it's really bad.
Well, it is bad, but it's also, you know, I feel like you've got to be really careful again with that. Be like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Because if you do it because it's a habitual thing, then don't punish yourself for doing it because it's a habit that you've got into. So
I know, but
you kind of just have to
have more. Tell everybody what your plan is.
You're getting at, isn't it?
Sorry.
like having more compassion for yourself. I think that's what you're getting at, isn't it, in terms of like,
yeah, because you know, only because it upsets me when I hear women say things about themselves in clinic, and I think that is not what I'm seeing, and it's just a shame, isn't it? Because I see gorgeous people. Oh, Jessie King is a great account to follow on Instagram. She's 20 weeks pregnant and all about body top. Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
Follow her. She's got a really good podcast, actually.
Oh, okay.
About the.
Oh, really good. So
it's about. So she keeps to 30 minutes, so they're slightly shorter. But the podcast episodes are her and her partner basically going through the pregnancy. So they do an episode. I think it's near enough every week. Talk about like what they've gone through that week, or highlights or low things that have happened, anything weird. I think it's called Never Have I Ever, the podcast. But yeah, it's really good. I've been listening to it.
Is that her first baby?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So it definitely helps. And I think one of the things that you realise, though, is like what you were saying then about it upsetting you to hear like women talk like that. I think the thing that I've realised is that it's really difficult to go through it the first time and know what to expect, and know, like, I think, you know, you've got to be mindful of the fact that a lot of people that are giving you all of this advice about, oh, just love your body and, you know, it's doing amazing things and you'll love it to pieces afterwards, are people that have already been there and they've already gone through it, and they're talking retrospectively. And I think when you're there going through it, it's all new. And it's like anything, like, you know, compare it to lockdown. You get used to something and then 4 weeks later it changes. You know, you kind of feel like you can never really find your balance when things are changing the first time, and I've certainly felt like that. So I think that's why I think it is hard for women, like in their first pregnancy especially, to not be negative, because that it's just so much is changing. And I think sometimes it's hard to feel like at home in your own body when everything is changing. So I think obviously when you get to the point of having your baby and it's like, oh, this is all worthwhile, I think you do feel differently about it. But I think going through it, it's really hard to have that conversation with somebody, because, you know, unless you're also going through it for the first time, it is quite stark, the comparison between the two types of people that will have those conversations.
But what I'm talking about is not like looking in the mirror like and going, oh, I look a right mess today, because that is, we all do that. But what I'm talking about is women that and I've done it in the past, and it's not easy to not do it to yourself, but I've heard women talk about themselves really, really cruelly, like saying I'm disgusting, you know, really up, and it upsets me, because I think, you know, it's the way you see yourself. Just because you say, oh, I'm disgusting, that doesn't mean it's true, does it? It just means that's just it's just not the kindest place to be. And I think that we as women all find it so easy to beat ourselves up and be nasty about ourselves and our bodies, me included, whereas your best friend, you'd never say that to them, would you? You'd never say that. So, you know, Brené Brown says a lot, talk to yourself how you would your best friend. And your best friend, you might say, well, I think you would look better if you did this, or give them some whatever advice or whatever, but you would never say you're disgusting. But it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, when it's yourself? And you think, well, you know, it's me, so I'm allowed to say that. But it's just, I just think it's just one of those little tips you can do that eventually, hopefully, you won't be so cruel to yourself and start, you know. Yeah, it is one thing to say, oh, well, it's easy to just say, oh, we'll just be positive. But what I'm saying is there are little things that you can try to change that will help improve your mental well-being and your view about yourself. And do you know what? I'm quite happy, Charlie, to tell you about all the body changes. And after 4 children, the body changes. And I've always been fairly slim, but your body does change, and your skin changes on your stomach, and you know your boobs change. It's quite a hard thing to get used to, you know, when you're pregnant and you have really, really big boobs. And that, to be honest with you, was quite alarming for me with when I was pregnant with Georgia. Why they got so ginormous with Georgia, I do not know, but I found that quite upsetting because when I went, my milk had just come in. So what happens is your baby suckles, and then the milk comes in, and at the point where the milk comes in, it's almost like your breasts like overfill, and then they'll calm down. But when my breasts sort of filled up, they were really what we call engorged. And I didn't think that I looked like somebody with a nice big boob job, because what you have is all these great big veins that you can see on the surface. And I thought I didn't want Dad to see me like that, because I thought, oh, just you've got big veiny boobs, you know. And you know, things do change, and so that affected me. And then what another thing is really, really different is once you've finished, if you choose to breastfeed, once you've finished breastfeeding your baby, you sort of forget what your boobs were like before, because they've been big for quite a long time, but they go back to their original sort of size, or maybe a bit smaller. And that, and the thing is, what you're left with is you've still got chunky old thighs around the bottom half here, and then all of a sudden these boobs just change a lot. So there are lots of things that change that you've got to get used to, you know. But you do, and you just, with things like being kinder to yourself, you learn to, you know, you do learn to focus on the bits that you do like, you know. And Dad tells me, he says, you know, even after having 2 children, obviously I had you and Chloe, and then after having 2 more children, you know, he said they've not changed, you know. And it's I mean, I'm lucky to have Dad, because he always tells me I look lovely, and he always tells me, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your boobs, because we do, don't we? Look at the, especially boobs, we're all like, and everybody's different, everybody's boobs are all different. And do you know that your boobs are very rarely the same on both sides?
Yeah.
You know, and really weird things happen when you're pregnant, and they change shape and they get heavy. And when they get heavy, that, you know, that's an extra weight. It feels a little bit strange sometimes, you know. But you do learn to start seeing, you know. Let me give you an example. Right, so when you're getting old like me, what you do is you look back at particularly old photographs, and I say, look how nice my legs were then. Look how nice my legs were. And I've got my little shorts on. And I tell you, it took one comment when I was about 20. I must have been about 20. And I've looked back since and thought I had nice legs. They were nice, long, slim legs. But I've always had cellulite on the back of my legs. Always. That's just, a lot of people do. That's just tough, innit? That's just how it is. You know, but I had one comment by somebody quite close to me, and it was, you know, when the sun shines on your lumpy bits, and it can sometimes exaggerate it a little bit. That's why a lot of people wear like false tans and stuff. And they said to me, oh, it is quite bad, isn't it, on the back of your legs? And that was it then. Never again. But if you look at yourself like now, I'm thinking, I didn't see that bit then. So it's like now, how I'm seeing myself now is I'm thinking, in another 20 years, I'll probably look back now and say, oh, do you remember when I still had brown hair? Because I'll probably have white hair, won't I, in 20 years? You know, and it's like you, on your pregnancy journey, you'll look back to your pregnancy pictures and go, look at me. And you'll look back with pride, and because in the grand scheme of things, that 9 months that you've got the baby growing in you goes really, really quick. And you do, a little part of you misses that bit because you recognise that, you know, it was a really special time. So, you know, it's never too late to start working on just going, you know what, I'm all right. I'm all right. So negative self-talk, you can stop doing that.
Okay.
Right, what was your other question?
Okay. Don't know if I dare ask it. It was going to be 2 things to start doing.
Well, this is very quick.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Like about yourself, other things other people admire too. It's just we don't compliment others much. Tell you what, Sally, as I've got older, I've started complimenting people. I really do, especially other women, because I'm quite happy in my own skin now. So, you know, if I see somebody else who's looking particularly gorgeous or hot or gorgeous hair or whatever, I always try and tell people, because I think you're absolutely right. We don't tell each other that, you know, you look absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, 2 things that you'd start doing. It's difficult in lockdown, but if we weren't in lockdown, I'd say do a bit of gentle swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming was always the thing that I did in pregnancy, and it's quite nice because you're over on your front, so you can't be on your front at the moment. However, some women who struggle with pelvic pain really struggle doing breaststroke. So if you're doing anything and it hurts, don't do it. So hopefully things will open soon and people can start doing those things again. But I always find swimming and pregnancy is just, it's the water supports you, you're in a good position, you don't have to power up and down, and you're just getting moving. But in the meantime, just trying to start having a healthy exercise regime. And you're better than I am. I'm not allowed out of the house at the moment, and you know what, an aquanatal class would be lovely. I know it is. It's really good because you just feel quite liberated that you can move your body. Water's really good when you're pregnant for supporting all the joints and all your baby weight. But yeah, since I've got to self-isolate, all I want to do is go for a walk. And I really took that for granted until I'm not allowed to do it. Well, you go for a walk, don't you, even when it's raining? And I think that's really important in lockdown, to try and make that part of your routine.
Yeah, I think especially because you're not going outside really much at all to do anything. So where you'd usually might go out to the shops, or you might walk to and from work, all of that stuff just massively put out as well, isn't it? So I think that's one thing that people tend to forget. So it's not just about doing exercise, it's about your body just isn't moving anywhere near as much as it would usually be. So even people who work in offices, you know, getting up and down to go to the toilet at the office because you're having to walk down corridors, or, you know, going across the road, or nipping out for lunch, and all of that's activity doing at the moment.
Really, isn't it? No one's moving anywhere, are they?
So that's why we try and do a morning walk, and sometimes we manage to get 3 in, but yeah, it's usually very, very short just because I can't walk very far. So
it's good to keep moving. And the other thing start doing is try to look forward and not back. That's just a good general tip for your mental health. And if you're really struggling and you're focusing on very, very negative things, just try, and this sounds quite, you know, kooky and all the rest of it, you know, developing an attitude of gratitude. And you think, oh, what have I got to be grateful for? But there is usually something that you can be grateful for. And actually, if you sit down and think about it, most of the time you've got miles more to be grateful for than you think you have. So you might be stuck in going, oh, I can't go out anywhere. I can't go out anywhere. I'm not allowed to go anywhere. I haven't even got coronavirus. Why do I have to stay indoors? And, you know, where actually, aren't I lucky that I can speak to you on the phone? Because I could never do that when I was pregnant. And aren't I lucky that all my children are safe? And aren't I lucky that I have got a job? You know, so I consider myself, you know, so lucky, even, and I think that really helps you on the days that you just feel a little bit fed up. Right then.
Right then. Do I ask you one more question, or?
Yeah, go on. Go on.
So the other thing was, so I found out obviously at one of the appointments I had the other week, that depending on which trust you're with, can vary on when you actually hear your baby's heartbeat. So I think, do you say in Lancaster they do it at 16 weeks?
Yeah. Yes.
I think some trusts do it at 18, some of them do it at 24, and a lot of the reasons like why it varies is I've been told that it's because how likely you're able to hear the baby's heartbeat. So what I was going to ask is, at 16-week appointments for you, how often do you not hear a heartbeat at 16 weeks? Because I think that's quite an important one for new mums, because obviously you're listening to it and thinking that's going to be reassurance, but I don't think like a lot of people do hear it. So I guess that was what I was interested in.
From personal experience, there's not many that I can't hear. However, I always tell the women before I even try listening that, you know, if I'm not, we listen in because the mums like it, and very often we can hear it, and, you know, it's lovely for the mums and we want it to be a nice experience. So if I can let a mum listen to their baby's heartbeat, and sometimes it's for the very first time, you know, that's so lovely. It's so lovely for them. And the amount of times women have just, you know, welled up and got really teary, always reminds me how important that special moment is. However, from a medical point of view, because at 16 weeks the baby's only still very tiny, you know, sometimes you can't hear the baby, and that will depend on like the position of baby, because they've got quite a big space to be moving about in. So depending on where they are, if they're further back, you might not be able to hear them. But also the biggest factor in not being able to hear is probably the woman's shape. And also, so if the mum has quite a lot of adipose tissue at the front, then that's that you know, Doppler, that sonic aid device, has to go through that tissue. So for example, if you get a lady that's got a really high BMI, you know, we worry sometimes that we might not be able to hear anything. And the other thing that would impact it is where the placenta is. So usually around about 20 weeks, they'll tell you, or they might tell you at 12 weeks, where the placenta has sort of implanted into the inside of the uterus wall. Most of the time it's sort of up near the top or posterior, but sometimes it chooses to stick on right at the front of the uterus. Yeah, so if it sticks on at the front of the uterus, it's called an anterior placenta. So at 16 weeks, if somebody has a placenta that's right at the front, you've got that placenta to try and listen through. So all through the pregnancy, I always say, you know, every time you come, if it's an anterior placenta, it might take us a little while, because you're trying to almost listen round the placenta if it's at the front. And when it's at the front, you hear, it takes us a while to get it clear enough that we're happy with, but it can be a lot more whooshy and swooshy, and what you're hearing is you're hearing the blood going through the placenta. So sometimes that's what happens. So I always try and tell women, please don't, if we can't hear it straight away, don't panic. It might take me a little while. And that's the same at 16 weeks. So I mean, I've listened to quite a lot of babies at 16 weeks. So I'm not one for giving up. So I'll keep trying because I think I know it's in there somewhere, but they're not always easy to listen to. But, you know, that's why some trusts probably don't like listening, because if we try and listen in at 16 weeks and we can't hear anything and we're listening, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong. But all that happens is mum just goes on really upset and, you know, worrying like you do. So if that's the case, usually what they will do, or what I would do, is I would probably say, you know, we'll try again in a few more days, because hopefully that will then reassure the mum. But, you know, we listen because we can, and the mum likes it, but we don't, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong if we can't hear anything. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
I don't know. Is that what goes on your tummy?
Do you know what it is?
Is that what goes on your tummy?
Do you know what it's called?
A Doppler.
This is called a pinard.
Yeah.
And we get one of these, and they're usually these, sometimes they're in wood, but that's what they listen to with on Call the Midwife.
God. Why have you used?
Pardon?
Why have you got those?
Well, because we still use them.
Do you?
Not very often, so we can listen to baby.
Okay.
Good, I can hear you. And one more thing before we go.
Okay.
Do you know what fundal height is?
Yeah. Is that the crown to rump?
So that's, they might talk to you about those measurements in scan, but when you go to your midwife, did they give you a paper tape measure?
No.
Right, so the fundus is like the top of the uterus.
Oh, right. Is that when you measure around the stomach?
So you're not just measuring the bump, you're measuring from so the midwife will just feel with her hands, because it's not always where it looks. She has to feel for the top of the uterus and then put it in a specific place at the top of the fundus, and then they put the tape measure right down to your pubic bone, and that's the fundal height. And then they plot it on the little growth chart.
No, not had that yet.
So 28 we start measuring. Have you got any more questions? Because I'm going to go and watch telly.
No, that's everything from me. You got no either.
I'll make it better next time. Benefits of nettle soup. Look, this will make you laugh, Charlie. I'll leave you with something that makes you laugh. So in France, you weren't there when I made nettle soup, were you?
There's no way that I would eat that. There's no way that I would drink that. I just don't. No. No.
What?
No.
Why would you not? Do you know you like my leek and potato soup, don't you?
Yeah.
Really, really nice. I'm going to make nettle soup for you. But you Google, it contains many nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, polyphenols. Do you know about polyphenols? Oh, polyphenols are good for you.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, may reduce inflammation. Don't need to know about prostates. Anyway, so I'll tell you what will make you laugh before we go. So I said to Dad, I said, which France book is the nettle soup in? Because that's what you could make, nettle soup. But you've got to be really careful if you go picking nettles when they're out, when they're growing, that you don't pick the ones that are old and tatty and the ones near the bottom that might have dog wee on them, and wash them properly and pick them with your rubber gloves on. So I said to Dad, I always said, it's this book, the France book, because I get one of these printed every time we go to our little house in France. And guess which book it is, Charlie?
Which one? The poo one.
Right. for everybody not knowing this joke, right? You know when you get your books made on photo box or whatever, photo book. Well, I'd got this done. I thought, oh, that's a lovely picture, that is, isn't it? It's a lovely picture. So I put this picture that I thought, oh, that's a lovely looking down that nice road, beautiful sky. I put that on there, and I put it on the book of my mother-in-law's, and there's 2 more pictures of the same photograph inside here. Now, this only came apparent when the book was printed, but I'll let you zoom in. Can you see it yet, Charlie?
Yeah, it's Alfie taking a big dump.
Oh, no, I didn't see him. I was taking the picture and I didn't see him doing that. And it's all over the book. Right, let's see what Helen said. COVID has got in the way, but there were aquinatal classes at Saltaire, which I attended before Harry. Oh, but I think it was a midwife that led the class. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, so aquinatal, maybe, Charlie, maybe. So when are the gyms going to start again?
I think it's 12th of April, but I'm not sure if pools open then. I can't remember if it's 12th of April or 17th of May, but it's one of the 2.
Well, if you can, they are really nice when you're pregnant. Really nice, just gentle exercise and just getting you out and getting you moving. Well, you're not going to wear a mask in the pool, are you, anyway?
No, absolutely not.
Pool's open for schools, Sally.
I know. It's all right for some.
It's all right for some, isn't it? Right, Charlie, is that it for this week?
That's it for this week, yeah.
We're not doing this, are we? You'll have to give me a debrief and tell me how rubbish I am.
Full debrief after this. You've done answered well.
Tell me off. What?
It's been good answers. You've answered well.
Oh, thank you.
You're all right. You're very welcome. And your hair doesn't look bad at all, so.
It is. I hate it now. No, if she'd have not said pubes, it would have been all right.
Well, mine don't look like that, so I'd be worried if hers looked like that. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. So I'll see you next week. See you next week.
I'm going at the same time because you left me out. You left me hanging last time. Right, bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.